We're joined by Senior Program Associate at Wilson Center's Kennan Institute, Joe Dresen. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Can you start off just by giving us a little bit of context? This is something that Mr. Putin does every year, right?
That's correct. He missed 1 year during the COVID pandemic, but yeah, it's an annual show. It's quite a production. He takes questions from across the country, from individual citizens as well as foreign press. And he views it as one of his major demonstrations of his ability to command facts and command the country.
And it was a very long Q&A, 4 hours, a big range of topics there. I want to focus on one to begin with, which is Syria. And Mr. Putin was claiming the fall of the Assad regime was not a defeat for Russia. Talk to us about that.
Well, so Putin's claim is that 10 years ago, Russia intervened in Syria in order to prevent it from becoming a terror enclave. And his argument goes that since that time, the opposition has evolved, and the opposition that has toppled the al-Assad government is now one that is not a terrorist group. He cites Western nations' attempts to establish diplomatic relations as proof of that. And therefore, mission accomplished. He prevented a terror enclave from taking control of Syria.
To the war in Ukraine, we're obviously seeing this top line this morning, him saying that he should have gone in earlier. What else is he saying about the state of the war between Russia and Ukraine at the moment?
I think the main takeaway from the presser is actually his claim that he saved Russia by launching his quote-unquote special military operation. He was saying that prior to the war, in fact, prior to his election, Russia was steadily losing sovereignty to the West, even in the years leading up to 2022. That Ukraine was increasingly falling into sort of Western control as some sort of puppet of the West, and that he, by launching the special military operation, reversed that decline in Russian sovereignty, and now Russia is a more powerful country because of it.
He also spoke about potential peace negotiations.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was interesting. He said that he was ready to negotiate without preconditions, and then he proceeded to list preconditions. For example, he's ready to talk to Zelensky, even though Zelensky he terms as an illegitimate ruler, and then goes on to say that he will sign a long-term peace deal only with the legitimate ruler of Ukraine, presumably not Zelensky. He will also not negotiate the return of Russian territory, which he claims is Crimea and 4 additional annexed territories in Ukraine, even though he doesn't militarily occupy all of those territories as Russian territory at the present. And then he also says that we do not need a ceasefire, we need a long-term peace, only then to also blame in his presser that he blames Zelensky for a failure of previous ceasefire talks. So it's clear that he perceives his fight with Ukraine as with a Western-led and U.S.-led alliance system, that Zelensky is a puppet doing the bidding of the United States. And this terminology helps Putin in his domestic political market as he frames himself and he frames Russia as fighting superpower, that is the United States NATO alliance, and not Ukraine, which he denies is even a real country.
He also framed Russia as doing very well economically. I mean, we know there's a very high inflation rate there at the moment. Mm-hmm. What did he say, and how much stock can we put in his words?
According to Putin, Russia is doing great. They will have 4% economic growth in 2024. That would be number 1 in Europe and number 4 in the world, according to him. And he claims that Russia's increased defense production is an example of national strength. And he acknowledges that inflation is a quote-unquote alarming signal, but he went on to say that the situation is quote-unquote stable and secure. I would just posit that Russia's 4% economic growth is basically devoted to producing things that will either explode or be exploded in the fight in Ukraine, and to military payments to people who are going to die in massive casualties, daily casualties in Ukraine. It's not exactly the foundation of growth.
Right, yes. Joe Dresen, we'll have to leave it there, but really great to have you break that down for us. Joe Dresen, Senior Program Associate at Wilson Center's Kennan Institute. Thank you so much for your time.
Glad to be with you.